Hello and welcome, FPL managers, and welcome to the Corner Football Fantasy. And we are bringing you, of course, this week the zonal weakness for Game Week 16, powered by Fantasy Football Scout. And tonight, of course, joining me is FPL Wrangler. Welcome, brother.
Hi Nadim, thank you. How are you?
I'm all good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. This is actually the best time of this season. I always like this very chaos, and this is the time where the engaged manager I think gets some benefit. So yeah, I always look forward to this. So yeah, very excited and looking forward to the this fixture crunch.
Very true. Very true. Engage managers. I think that's the word that we were all looking for. Yeah, it gives us a little bit of hope amidst all the red arrows that we are getting. But yeah, it does give us a little bit of hope, right? Anyway, so let's discuss the Game Week 16 and let's go. And I hope you had a good Game Week. So I'll just bring up straight to the Game Week 16 data. And of course, before we get into that, I just want to tell the audience that the Game Week 16 data is based on Game Week 14's data, not Game Week 15's data, because Game Week 15 is still ongoing. And by the time it's over, the next Game Week will start. So as and when such situations do occur, we will try and take the previous Game Week's data to try and ensure that we are still able to produce the content on a regular basis and maintain the schedule that we have promised, which is usually on Thursdays or on Wednesdays. So yeah, that's that. So let's move straight. And before we do, please do give us a follow and a like, and of course subscribe to our YouTube channel because that's where we are doing our regular zonal videos along with Bethany and FPL Radar. And of course, what we would appreciate is a little bit of support from you. So please do subscribe and, of course, follow our Twitter pages, but also like our Facebook page. And all the data that you see are brought to you by Fantasy Football Scout and from the membership area of the Fantasy Football Scout. If you're interested in the membership, please do click on the link in the description section and you'll get a 20% discount, of course. And it's no more 30%, but yeah, it's still worth what the investment that you'll be making because there's plenty of data that you can look through and of course you will get all that thing and all the necessary information to analyze and then decide for yourself as to which players are ideal for your team. And yeah, I would say let's get straight into the table. So this is what the table looks like. So what do you think about the Game Week 16 table for the zonal weakness FPL Wrangler?
Yeah, so basically, all of your viewers, I think, very familiar with this table, right? So again, this is last six game weeks data from Fantasy
Yeah,
Football
sort of.
Scout, right? So yeah, that's why people probably should subscribe and look into this data because these data that you curated from the Fantasy Football Scout last six game weeks data, right? So yeah, basically here it shows. Let's highlight the white ones, right? Because those are more interesting one. So the top one is Luton. So that's a game versus Man City, right? So as you can see that Luton is in top in terms of conceding chances and crosses uh, everywhere, right? Right, left, center, you name it. And I think this is the best matchup you can think of whenever you have like players like Haaland or even any other City players, right? So I think Haaland is the best captaincy shout. Again, as you can see, Luton is conceding chances in the center there in the top, right? So Haaland or Alvarez, whoever you have. But again, Haaland is if you have Haaland, that's the best captaincy shout. Doku is another shout here. He had some niggle in the last game. I don't know. We're gonna see him this game. I think he's predicted not to start as of now. I think FPL Tony, he's a predictor, and based on his tweet, I see that he's not starting. But again, hoping if he starts, he's a very good shout. Grealish is on a yellow card, so he's not going to start in game week 15. But again, in 16, he's available. So you need to see some sort of like prediction if who is starting. But again, you get the idea that right flank is very vulnerable. So one of the City players definitely should click there. I think Foden is another shout. We have been always very much concerned Foden's minutes, but he actually started I think 12 games in last 14. So that's really a very impressive one. And again,
Yep.
Kevin De Bruyne is not available, right? So Foden, Alvarez, and Bernardo Silva. Those three players are really very crucial, right, for City. But again, I think you get the idea that City's player will be benefited based on the vulnerability of Luton. One caution though, that well, not a caution, but Luton in at home they have been okay, although they gave some tough time. Like I think they gave tough time yesterday as well to Arsenal, to Liverpool. Although like Arsenal was able to win at the end, but again they conceded a lot of chances. Although somehow Arsenal had to score at the very 96 minute while Liverpool couldn't even win, right? But still, I mean, at home, Luton sometimes might be tricky. But against City, it's always City is always best team, right? So yeah, I think that's about City versus Luton.
Uh,
Then Palace versus
Totally a different ball game.
yeah, and then Palace versus Liverpool. I don't think anyone is buy now from the Liverpool side. Uh, but if you have, I think now by now a lot of people have at least one or two Liverpool assets, right? Because the fixture run that they had in last few game weeks, it was very good, right? So definitely you hold Trent. He scored one goal and another own goal, but it was actually his goal too in last game week. So definitely Trent is another player. When Salah is gonna be going to Afcon, you need to spend some money. So definitely we'll be probably getting Trent at that time. But if you have him now, definitely you hold, and he's a very good shout. He might again tick along versus Palace, right? So that's another player. Actually, I really wanted him to be in my team, but I didn't have any spot for him. So yeah, and then you have any comment on the Palace versus Liverpool?
No,
Okay.
nothing really. Nothing really. I think those who are still holding on to Darwin, I think just keep a bit of faith,
Yeah,
a bit of
absolutely.
hope, and of course with Palace it might be difficult, but again, Darwin tends to do well against stronger opponents, and whenever it's basically not Darwin, it's basically a FPL rule that whenever you expect a player to do bad, he does well, and whenever you expect a player to do well, and he does bad, and I think this is a sort of a case that is also applicable for Darwin. So I would say Darwin owners
Yeah.
just have faith a little bit. Yeah, that's it.
And I mean, Liverpool in general creates lots of chances. They score 3 to 4 goals in
Yeah,
every game, right? So, yeah, and
yeah.
definitely whoever got Darwin, you knew the risk of minutes, right? So, you definitely hold. Okay, next is Sheffield versus so basically Brentford, right? So Mbumo, a lot of people got Mbumo in game week 14 because they had I think Luton. They had Luton in game week 14, I think, and then Sheffield. So again, not a buy, but again, you hold definitely. Sheffield is a very good fixture. They even considered 5 goals versus Burnley, so that's that bad they are, right? So and Brentford attacking number is good too. So you hold, but I don't think it's a buy because Brentford is blanking in game week 18, and then there is Afcon for Mbumo. So probably not a buy, but again, definitely you hold. Um, then Spurs versus Newcastle. So that's gonna be a very entertaining and exciting game of the next game week. You can expect a lot of goal, I think. That's because
Yeah.
again the nature of the play of these Spurs, right? So um, they will be attacking no matter what the opponent try, right? And that's where I think the chances for the opponent come, especially teams like Newcastle, right, who are really good at attacking. They can exploit those vulnerabilities that the Spurs defense has, right? Especially if you see in the right flank, Pedro Poro's side, they're in number 4, and I think that could be because of the Madison, Madison's absence. So probably Pedro Poro is going further up to create more chances because he's a very good passer and he can create very good chances for Spurs. So probably that creates some like hole in the back like Trent, right? So and that's where the opponent
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
exploit. But again, I think that's a very good matchup. I mean, it's a good matchup for Newcastle, I would say.
yeah,
And then Bournemouth versus Man United, they are playing against each other. So I think it's a good matchup for both of the attacking sides. Man United, they actually irony is they kept I think 5 to 6 clean sheet by the way, Man United so far. But again, again it's a home
yep.
game for Man United. So, but still I think Solanke is a very good shout, especially during this fixture congestion time, right? He's a 90-minute guy, as we were talking before we started this pod, right? So I think Solanke is a very good shout. And for Man United boys, you don't buy anyone. I would not suggest, but Solanke is a good shout. And then Bowen versus Fulham. Bowen played 90 minutes in the last game, right? And West Ham's fixture is good from now to even after game week 19-20. Also, they are good, so they have a good run. So I think Bowen you hold. Even I think if you want, you can buy him too if you want to be differential. And he's a good shout always, right? So that's one thing. And here I'd like to just mention about Everton versus Chelsea. So Chelsea's fixture is turning good now from now, right? So people are looking for like home to get, right? So especially defense. So Reece James, like he has been trapped a lot of times, and I think again we'll go there because of his explosiveness and his he has that ceiling, right? So but again you have to be cautious, right? Because he has that injury record or history. So whenever you get him, you have to have always have backup plan to get out of him if there is any situation or any incident. But yeah, overall I think this is the uh, you know uh, zonal so far, the interesting ones I think in this slide.
Yeah. So let's go to the next slide, which doesn't really have too many interesting players, but yeah, there is only the Wolves assets that we have to look at, and particularly one particular person who's standing out and doing extremely well in his home games. So yeah, if you'd like to discuss about Wang, please.
Yeah, again, he has been he went massively under the radar. We have been talking about him for a while, but I think it makes sense as well because like players like Gordon or Palmer, they are in the same price bracket, right? So that's why actually people didn't go for him. But again, we found out that he's on penalty as well. While Kunha was on the field, he took the penalty. So I think he's a very good shout, and their fixture is good too. So I think the zonal is there, I guess, for Wang. So
Right.
whoever went for him in game week 15, they already got 10 points haul, right? So I think he's a very good shout, and that's the only player I can think of right now from Wolves.
Okay, so let's move to the transfer suggestion because this week we are suggesting a transfer and let's see who it is. And of course, it's obvious and pretty obvious for a lot of people. It's Gordon. So would you like to explore that a little bit in details?
Yeah, absolutely. So Anthony Gordon, he's a gem, right? I think he's now 6 million. He started with 5.5, right? I think we also mentioned about it before. I think in this part, I believe. So he
Yeah,
basically he's playing for a good team, right? And minutes wise, he was good too because especially whenever Harvey Barnes was got injured, right? His minutes just went up, and he didn't disappoint even, right? He even actually even went even beyond, right? Beyond the expectation, I would say. And then the next fixture is Fulham, then game week 18 Luton, where like Brentford and Man City are blanking, and then Nottingham Forest. So I think if you have two free transfer, I think he is a good buy. Now where to fit if you have already Palmer, he can be a good, I would say he could be a replacement for Mbumo, especially if there is no double game week for Mbumo in game week 20 because we are expecting, right? But it's not announced yet, right? So if you think that if you want to bring Gordon, you can probably bring in place of Mbumo or even someone else. But the fixture run is good for Gordon, so I think he's a very very good shout to get.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I agree with you. And I think Palmer and both Gordon, they are making a case for themselves. And I think they are warranting uh, the position in our teams, particularly because, if you look at it, the current FPL team situation, and every managers are struggling in terms of whom to get and whom not to get. And if you have Haaland and if you have Darwin or Watkins, but at the same time you have Salah in your midfield and Son in your midfield, but you also have Trippier in your midfield, you'll definitely be having fund crisis. And to accommodate players like all the ones that I mentioned earlier, what you really need to do is you need to have those cheaper options who would be delivering regularly. And there are only two of them. It's Palmer and Gordon. So I think the best case is, I wouldn't say this is the best case, but an ideal or optimistic, I'm just being a bit more optimistic perhaps, but one of the good situation would be, or wonderful looking midfield would be, is that you have Salah, Son, Saka, and Gordon and Palmer, with Haaland in front and Darwin or Watkins in front and Trippier at the back. And I think you have the rest is kind of Gabriel or somebody else. So I think then your team is kind of very well balanced, ready for the double game week, but also trying to avoid the blanks in game week 18 that is coming along. So yeah, you're kind of well suited. So I think it goes in very well. I think this transfer. But let's see. We'll be reviewing it, of course, like all the other
Hmm.
transfers that we continue to review. So hope we'll see something good out of it. Yeah. Okay, let's go to the team of the week, and this is the team of the week for the Gaming 16. Anything that stands out?
No, basically, we already talked about all of them, I think. So let me just read out for the listeners, right? So tonal wise, Solanke, Haaland, Alvarez,
Yeah.
then Gordon, Bowen, Foden, Embumo, and then Livramento, Reece James, and Trent. Okay, so those are the players who
Yeah.
actually stood out in terms of zonal weakness for the game week 16. I think that's all.
Yeah. Right. Okay. I think that's more or less the end of our content, to be honest. And I think that's for Gaming 16. Just to let every audience know that this zonal Gaming 16 data was based on the last 6 game weeks data rather than last 4 game weeks data. And because the fixtures are congested now, what we have decided is we'll try to take in as much data as possible to try and ensure that we are able to predict a bit more with a bit more heavier data, because things continue to change very rapidly nowadays. But yeah, until then, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much, FPL Wrangler, for joining me today. And I wish you all the very best for Game Week 16. Of course, Game Week 15 is still ongoing. So good luck for tonight and good luck for the rest of the matches. But until then, thank you so much. Take care. Bye bye.